Okay, there we go. We're live now. That's what the issue was. So, I know it's been a while, but I woke up this morning to having 10K subs, which is amazing for me. I know that as far as YouTube is concerned, it still makes me a pretty small channel, but 10K is just a ridiculous amount. It's almost as many people as live in the town that I grew up in, so it's nuts. I decided that, especially since I've been so quiet lately, it would be time for me to do some Q&A, some game dev stuff. I know that Anthro from the Discord has a whole list of questions. We could look at those. We could look at some Patreon questions here. Just kind of make sure that we're all answering stuff. So I'll just wait a little bit here for some more people to maybe come in, and then we can get started. Let's see. Let's take a look at my... Oh, I think I put the wrong link in here. I have it on super low latency, so hopefully that will help a bit. The link I want is this one, which I think I might still have on my clipboard. Yep, I do. Alright, so patrons can ask questions, of course, and anybody can ask questions. I don't care. I just want to hear from you guys. I know it's been a while. Yeah. So we can... Since when do I make games? Hello, Double Games. How are you? Since when do I make games? So I started about 4 years ago. I'm a teacher. I teach high school. The school I taught at had no computer science curriculum to speak of, so I decided to make one. I took one visual basic class way back in college, but I just essentially got a great big book of Java programming, and I used, that first year, I used a program called BlueJ, and then a game development IDE called Greenfoot that both use Java, and they're both made by the University of Kent. They're both free and I think open source. And I used those, and yeah, I just kind of went piece by piece trying to teach myself how to do it. So about 4 years, maybe more. I guess it's 5 now. Yeah, it's 5 now. We started a new school year, didn't we? So yeah, that's what's up with me. Thanks. I know not everybody can do it that way. Not everybody can, just teach themselves how to do something complicated. There's a pretty strong learning curve to learning how to program. Adrian, hello. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. I'm glad to hear that anybody can get anything out of my little rambling videos, so thank you. So yeah, like I said, I woke up this morning and I had 10,000 subscribers, and it's been a while since I posted anything, so I thought I'd take a look at this. I have a whole list of stuff to go over here. Anthro in the Discord, I hope they don't mind me sharing this, has this amazing little blog that they've been making as they've been posting. Well, she won't play, she'll pull her hair out and whatever. So she's been trying to make everything work, and she's made this kind of blog for it that she calls her Christmas list. And there's a whole bunch of different things. Is it refactoring or is it me? I like that. Hints are Brad's. Oh, okay. So hints are activating continuously, ignoring the timer, so that's an issue. Booster Jazz. Finn says it's not clear if you're in the booster mode or not unless you actually, set a booster. Well, in our stage of development, I don't see a big issue. I can understand. Right, so I'll do it eventually. Yeah, no, this is totally something. Sorry, I'm answering questions that nobody's asked. I don't know how to pronounce your name. I'm going to say she. Good to see you here. Welcome. Feel free to ask any questions you want to. So we have a list of stuff about the Godot one. Hope you remember everything. If you don't, it's fine, man. Or person, human being. If you don't remember everything, it's totally fine. It's been quite some time since I have done any kind of stream, so I totally understand well, not even just any stream. It's been a while since I've uploaded anything to my channel, so I understand if people don't necessarily remember what they wanted to ask me about. See in the background here, I wanted to make sure that I had a recent install of 2019.2. So I'm gonna uninstall 2019.1. I still need to keep 5.6. Yeah, Adrian asks, have you ever thought of making coin out of your game dev hobby? I absolutely have. I've made a few games that are on the App Store right now. They haven't made me a ton of money, but that's fine. I didn't make them to make money. I made them because I thought they were interesting puzzles and I wanted to find a solution to them. And YouTube pays. I mean, I'm not making $0. The amount that I'm getting through monetization is not huge, but it's more than nothing. And I've contributed a few videos to GD Quest, and that's been that. Randy says, congrats on 10K. Your match 3 Unity has helped me a lot recently. Thanks for that. Yeah, no worries, man. That match 3 Unity, I don't know, I was kind of teaching myself how to make a game like that because I couldn't find any information for myself on how to do it, so I was just kind of trying to figure it out myself. And there's a lot of things about that I would do differently today, but not enough that I would go back and redo everything. So I'm glad to hear you've gotten something out of that. It's good to hear. I wonder if it's because I'm online that this doesn't want to uninstall. Remove that one from the hub. Oh, maybe it's because my new hub is gone, or I don't have the new hub. Let's restart Unity Hub. Jetski asks, when will you continue the Godot Match 3? I have 2 videos recorded for it. I just haven't edited them yet because they're kind of beasts because I made a bunch of mistakes. And I'm honestly debating whether or not I want to just remake both videos to be a bit more smooth. I think viewers can tell when I struggle with making a video because there's a bunch of cuts and sometimes I cut in the wrong place. So I want to make sure that whatever I'm putting out there is going to be good so that I don't have to redo any redos. So this today can be part of continuing the match 3. It wouldn't actually be, like I wouldn't expect people following that series to jump around in here, but we can certainly answer some questions from it. Randy asks, are you planning on ever going back to a series you've made just so you can remaster it? Absolutely. I've thought about that a lot. The problem is, I don't know. I have, my ambitions are bigger than the amount of time I have to do things, especially since I have a full-time job. So I would love to go back and redo that balls video that I made, that series, that very first one I made. And I'd love to go back and redo the match 3 because I think I could make it significantly better. But every time I sit down to start looking at how I would even do that, it gets unmanageable quickly when I'm adding it in addition to everything else that I'm already doing. So I would love to. And honestly, I had hoped I would do that this summer, but then a lot of family stuff came up that I wasn't expecting to happen. So I don't know. I'll have to see. Jeski says, are you planning on making a 2D platformer? So that's another thing that I wanted to share with you guys today is, so in the background, I'm a teacher. I teach a computer science class that uses games to help teach students how to use Python. And as part of that, they make projects. And the way that I do the projects in my class is they start by doing it together with me as a class. So we go through the whole thing as a class. And then they have to remake it again on their own using a set of instructions. And that set of instructions is something I could totally share with you guys because it's all just Google Docs. And one of the things that we're making for that is going to be a 2D platformer. So that's something that I can share. I don't know if I'll be able to make videos for it because, again, time is finite and ever shrinking. But yeah. Avery Oaks asks, what price range versus performance desktop PC would be good for Unity? Is my voice low? Let me turn up my mic. Okay, is this better, Nikhil? I don't know if I'm pronouncing your name right. And I also don't know if I'm pushing the gain the right direction. Okay, better now? Is it still too low? If it is, let me know. Okay, so let me answer Avery's question, and then I'll answer Randy's next question. So Avery asks what price range versus performance desktop PC would be good for Unity. So as far as that, I mean, there's a wide range of answers to that. If you're going to be focusing on Unity development, I would definitely focus on getting a Windows PC, and you could probably get a decent Windows build for between $500 and $750 that would be able to do everything you need it to do to develop with Unity. So you wouldn't need to go too much. As far as me personally, when I've developed with Unity in the past in my classrooms, I'm using Godot now in my classroom, but when I've used Unity in the past, we've just used state refurbished computers. So like when the state is done with laptops or desktops, they put them into this center, and then teachers can buy them for pretty inexpensive prices. Not teachers, but schools. So my classroom has always been stacked by those. This year I have a set of really old MacBooks. They're old so that they're still the plastic ones, but yeah. Randy says, did making YouTube videos change the way you teach your class? In some ways, yes. It's an ever-changing thing. I get bored pretty often with teaching stuff. Like I've been teaching for 12 years now. And so if I keep teaching the same way I've always taught, I get bored with it, and then I find myself getting complacent. So I kind of always try to change stuff. Mikhail says, I want to say your tutorials are great. Thanks. Yeah, no worries. Jetski asks, what will you do today? So Jetski, I was planning on answering questions first and foremost, and then if there were questions on specific topics, I could address those. And if there were no questions on specific topics kind of in the background, I thought I could maybe be addressing some of Anthro's priority list here, since Anthro did a great job of making sure that they have this nice like priority list. Adrian asks, what kind of game/project would you like to do? You mean personally? Personally, I've done a lot of really weird projects in the past. So the game that I made that I'm most proud of is a card game, a digital card game called Hero of Operations, that you're fighting aliens using cards, trying to get to a target number, and the closer you are to the target number, the more points you have to spend on attack or defense. That was really fun, and I'd like to try making a tactics-like algebra game. I think when I was first developing it, I called it Algebra, and then I don't know, I have like a list a mile long. Randy asks, how is my cat? She's off my lap now, and she's sitting in the chair behind me. Runner-up says, love your videos. Do you think that gamification of teaching environments will be the future of schools? It makes an education environment? No. So yeah, gamification is actually something that I've been toying with for the last 3 or 4 years or so. Like I said, I try to make things different for myself to keep myself from getting complacent. And one of the things that was on my list of things to do this year was to take my entire algebra curriculum and break it down lesson by lesson by lesson, like skill by skill by skill, and make videos for them. And then that way the kids would be, instead of doing homework at home, they'd be watching the video at home, and then they could do the homework in class. That was my big plan. And part of my big plan for that was to have it be gamified. And I've been successful on half of that. So I made my lessons online. I have a sister channel. It's Mr. Taft Math that has 100 subscribers, and they're all my current students. And not all of my current students have subscribed, but that has just algebra and geometry and calculus videos on it. But I meant for it to be gamified as well. My big plan was to actually have it be like The Amazing Race, where like each chapter was a different location, so that like chapter 1, which is all about variables and numbers and algebra, would be New York City, and then we do challenges in class based on New York City. And I got about halfway towards making it good, but I don't think it was ready for prime time yet, so I didn't do it this year. But I'm almost certainly going to do it next year with at least my algebra kids, if not algebra and geometry. So. Sabu says, congrats on 10K. Thank you very much. Avery Oaks, is there a particular vector or particular video of yours that goes over using vectors in Unity? No. Vectors are a pretty giant topic. So, Avery, is there anything specific about vectors that you'd like to talk about then? We can talk about that now. I know there's a vector video from GD Quest, and he uses Godot, so I know it's not the same as Unity, but the way that you would treat vectors is, like, vector math is just, it's vector math no matter what IDE you use. So is there a specific question you have about that? I'm just waiting. I'm going to look to see if there's any Patreon questions. I have some Patreon messages I haven't looked at. So vector 2s and vector 3s are interchangeable if you're doing 2D development because of the way that Unity sees 2D development. Unity sees 2D development as... Unity is a 3D engine, and it is always in 3D. They've just recently created a dedicated 2D renderer, but even then, when you're looking at the position of something, it's a vector 3 because Unity is also keeping track of the Z position, even if you don't use the Z position. So in 2D development, you might need to do something like change a transform, and if you change a transform, it needs to be a vector 3. But to make it more understandable, it might be easier to do the math behind it with a vector 2. Because a vector 2 is just x and y, and Unity in its 2D mode sees Z as the distance from the plane where everything is by default. Everything's at a Z position of 0. And I always forget if the camera's at positive 10 or negative 10, but so positive goes above and negative goes below. So Avery, yeah, there's specific uses. So vector 2s are used for anything that's going to be on a 2D plane. Vector 3s are anything that has a third dimension. And there's even vector 4s, which can be used for things like colors, but Unity doesn't call those vector 4s, it just calls them color. Okay, she says, any videos on how to use Visual Studio on Godot, sir? I did follow other tutorial how to use, but my Visual Studio is not detected. I don't know, because I still haven't done any C# development with Godot. There's a few people on my Discord who have, so you might want to, like, if you want to, you can drop on my Discord, and I can actually get a link for you and drop it in the description so that you can drop by. Invite people. Nope. Oh, good lord, I know where it is. I've done this before. I don't want to invite specific people, I just want the stupid link. I am still not the best person at Discord. I know there are so many people who are better than I am at it. Anyway, I'll do that in a second. Runner-up, or Crash Bam Boom says, thank you for your videos. They've helped me so much. I'm glad I can help anybody. That's awesome. Runner-up says, I'm doing my dissertation on gamification, and it's really something I believe that could be great, but on mobile platform is good to hear a teacher looking into improving boarding school. Yeah, I'm always looking at how I can do things differently because I get bored. So that's kind of it. So like my programming class this year, we work with there's a science class at the school I'm at right now that there's an environmental science class. It happens in the springs, and they like go down and do tests and stuff on the river near the school that I work at. So I was thinking that my programming kids could actually make some atmospheric monitoring devices using some Arduino and some rugged cases, and that way we could kind of work with them, but I thought it'd be cool. Avery says, thanks, that really cleared things up. Another question I have is, what are the use cases for switching rigid bodies collision detection from discrete to continuous or vice versa? So continuous. So if you want your rigid body to act like an actual physics object, unless you're dampening the speed or the velocity of it, you generally want it to be continuous. Discrete means that it's only checking every physics update. And you can change in Unity how often the physics update is, but by default that's 30 times a second. So if it's discrete and it's traveling fast enough that it's right next to a platform now, like say you've got platform here and your ball character, whatever, is here. If it's moving fast enough that the next frame would take it past that, then it's going to go past it if it's a discrete continuous detection, because it's only detecting every physics update, which is by default 30 times a second. If you set it to continuous, then it's checking every frame in the update loop, but that also makes the physics calculations happen every update loop. So generally, if you're going to have anything with any kind of speed, you're going to want it to be detecting continuously. If you have anything where you're damping the speed or you're keeping it so that that kind of situation should never happen, then you can leave it as discrete. So there's that. Gotta say, it feels nice to be streaming something. I know it's been a long time. This week this is the first week since starting at the new school where I got all of my grading done and all of my lesson planning done for the next week that week. So that was nice. So I don't have anything that's really pressuring me to do anything right now. So here I am, and I'll probably do some editing later today and hopefully some recording for the Zelda series. I appreciate how patient you guys have been. You all are awesome. Adrian asks, do you plan on doing any project in 3D? Yeah, I mean, I totally could. The last time, so in Unity, the last time I started working on a new project was when I started working on the Zelda project, which is over a year ago. I put up a poll on my Twitter and Discord and asked just, what do people want to see me work on? And overwhelmingly, it was a Zelda-like. I think it was like 2-to-1 for Zelda over anything else. But I had on there as some other options a few different 3D things. So there was like a 3D platformer, I think, on there, and maybe a 3D Diablo-like, because I think that'd be kind of cool. But I kind of went with that. Runner-up asks, do you listen to any specific music when programming, and where did you learn to code? What got you into it? So as far as music I listen to, I generally don't listen to this. This is just so that I can have the stream archived on YouTube, because Pretzel, this is a music player that plays copyright-free music or copyright with attribution music, and every once in a while you might see a little tag pop up in the chat saying, this song is this or whatever. I have playlists that I just call my programming playlists. It's all like, I don't know, indie alternative music, some pop. And then where did I learn to code? So I took a single class in Visual Studio or Visual Basic in college, which was like 20 years ago. And then 5 years ago, the school I was teaching at, there was no computer programming curriculum. So over the summer 1 year, I just got a great big book on Java and taught myself how to do it. Let's see. Little Penguin says, your next tutorial is going to be in Godot. The next one is in Godot, but I'm continuing the Unity. I plan to have one Unity and one Godot series going at all times. So, like, Unity isn't Godot isn't the only thing I'm going to be programming in from now on. Gerard says, love your Zelda-like series. Thank you so much for your videos. Greetings from Poland. Nice. I'm glad to hear that anybody enjoys anything. Thank you very much, Gerard. And it must be pretty late there if you're chatting from Poland. Avery says, I'm only at the 21st video in the Zelda-like series, so I'm good for a while. Hopefully I will have more time for Unity when I graduate. Well, good. Crash Bam Boom says, question, do you know offhand what video do you go over a safe game in Unity? Looking for something other than player prefs. Encryption is what I'm looking for. So I cover that, but I'm going to need to recover it because of some things that I've changed. Uh-oh. So some videos are experiencing buffering. Awesome. Anyway, so actually looking at my YouTube here. The video I go over saved games. So Crash Bam Boom, the way that I cover saving is it's not a script that's attached to an object, but it's an object that looks for certain things that it's saving. And then there are ways that you can go through encrypting that data. So let me look at my videos here. Okay. Sorry, I just got a quick text notification. It's inventory items. Inventory, gosh, that seems like a million years ago, and it wasn't that long ago. So inventory. Saving data. So that would be way back in saving data. That was when I stopped numbering them, but it's in saving data persistence and saving data saving between scenes. Neocat Noir says, "Hey, I'm on the Discord. Hello, how are you?" Gerard, it's 7 p.m. in Poland. Just watched the 33rd episode of The Zelda Life. Well, nice. Good job for sticking with it so long, especially with how, I don't know, it gets a little, I get a little all over the place there in later episodes, so thank you very much for staying with it. Newton Gamer says hi. Hello, Newton Gamer. How are you? And YouTube is not receiving enough video. I wonder if that's because I've got this running. Let me turn that off and see if that might help something. I hope I don't have to like go start my router or anything. Yeah, Crash Bam Boom, no worries. That's what we're here for, answering questions. Just checking to see if that's going to help this at all. Maybe? I don't know. We'll find out soon enough. So, let's take a look here. So, unless anybody has any other specific questions, and if you do, feel free to chime them in and I'll answer them. Jetski, I put up a poll for the next Godot series way back in July, and it was a very close vote, but what people voted for was an RPG, a turn-based RPG. So that's going to be the next Godot series. I've already got the framework for almost all of it built, so that one should go pretty quickly. And then when that's done, I'll put up another poll to see what people want to see. Neocat Noir says, is there a drawing software you'd recommend for drawing game sprites for Unity? I like Asprite, A-S-E-P-R-I-T-E, this one. The older version of it is free on GitHub, and the new version I think is like $15. Avery Oaks, do you think someone that has been using Unity 2D will find GameMaker Studio 2 basic or completely different? Just completely different. GameMaker Studio 2 gets a bad rap because people think it's like a toy. It's not. GameMaker Studio 2 is a full-fledged platform that there's a lot of professional games that are made using GameMaker Studio 2. For example, anything from what's that studio? Vlambeer. Anything from Vlambeer up to now has been made using GameMaker Studio 2. Gunpoint was made using GameMaker Studio 2. Heat Signature, which is like a 100-hour game, was made using GameMaker Studio 2. What's the other one? I keep wanting to call it like Heartbreaker, but that's not it. It's got that weird synthwave soundtrack. It's almost like a Zelda-like crossed with Dark Souls. I forget what it's called. I have it on my PS4. But that was made with GameMaker Studio as well. So GameMaker Studio isn't a toy. It's a legitimate thing. It uses its own language, so people often think that it's different. And it has a visual drag and drop interface, so people tend to think that it's simple. But Unreal Engine 4 has a drag and drop interface, and nobody seems to think that that's a toy. Cool. So runner-up says, something that might be good for views or insight is a video about what to keep in mind with developing, as it's not clear for beginners of what's needed and what we are getting into. Very, very fair. That is absolutely true. So, and I meant to do this, but I just haven't. I've meant to put a video at the beginning of all of my tutorial series just to say, like, okay, so here's how I would best recommend using this tutorial series. I would recommend that you, number one, have one version of it where you're following along and doing everything I do. And then maybe even have an actual physical notebook out so that you can take notes about exactly what we're doing and in what step. And I try to explain every line. So if you could jot down the basics of that explanation, that would be good. Then later, but not too much later, as you've forgotten everything, try to remake it in a new version of the project. So I would definitely think it's a good idea for people to have a notes version and then a for real version. And then even after that for real version, you might want to remake it again to just take bits and pieces of it out, like a recipe book, to make your own things. So like in the Zelda series, I talk about how to make things move left, right, up, down. It's one of the first things that I talk about in there. And so you might want to take that, and you could use similar left, right, up, down movement for a lot of different kinds of games. It doesn't have to be a Zelda game. You could use it for an RPG, but it would be better for the learning process if you had to try to force yourself to remember how to do that instead of just copying and pasting or bringing the script over. Because then, as far as you know, that script is just magic. I mean, there was just some magic words that were put in there. You need to know what is happening with each thing. And the easiest way to do that, in my opinion, is to get a little bit of repetition in there, or to try to remake it and make it slightly different, or remake it and change a property and see what happens if you change that property, or remake it and try to add something from another lesson that you learned, so that you're constantly trying to understand exactly what each piece does. And by trying to change pieces or remake the pieces, I think that is very helpful, in my opinion at least. Avery Oak says, okay, good to clear that misconception up. Yeah, Game Maker Studio 2 is... I've made good stuff in Game Maker Studio. Let's see. I think most of the good stuff I've made is in 1.4. This might be fun. Just look at some of the projects I have in Game Maker Studio, maybe. Or maybe even in Unity. Because I have like a bajillion Unity projects that I've never finished. Because again, just like with teaching, I get bored of things quickly. I would be, as far as like on game dev, I would be a nightmare to work with. Because I would be constantly thinking like, well, hey, how about I do this new thing? Well, I have this other idea that somebody might think is really awesome that I just didn't go very far with. Runner-up says, also knowing you have a job so you have at least financial stability. What's the income from a 10K channel doing these videos? Just a bit nosy. No, you're fine. I think it's best to be like open about this stuff. There's no reason not to. So 10K subs, it really has more to do with two things: the amount of money you're going to make. It has to do with the click-through rate, which is how often people will click on the ads on your videos. And there's like 6 things. It's click-through rate, it's cents per melee, so like different ads will pay a different amount for every 1,000 views, and click-through rate will pay a different amount than just watching the ad. And I want to say that there's a lot of other things that go into it, but anyway, in general, the rule that I found is it's roughly $1.50 to $2 per 1,000 views, unless it's a video that has a high click-through rate, in which case that could go up as much as double. But yeah. Okay. I'm opening Game Maker Studio 1.4, which I think is why it's freaking out. They don't like you using 1.4 anymore. But no, it's not crossing a line. My Patreon is healthy, which is nice. But if I were to break it down on like an hourly basis about how much how many hours I put into making the videos. So if a video is 30 minutes long, that was probably 2 to 3 hours worth of my time. Even if it's only like a 15 or 20 minute video, that's probably a couple hours. So if you look at it on like an hourly basis, it hasn't paid that well yet, but since I have such a gigantic back catalog, it has a chance of doing well later. Green Attack WTF, I forgot I called it that. This is a game I was trying to make in Game Maker Studio 1.4, where I kept getting upset at it because it wouldn't make an APK file. And then I finally figured out how to make an APK file. But this is supposed to be something similar to, there's that, gosh, what is it? It's not Tetris Attack, it's that Pokemon puzzle game where you swap things, swap colors. Not Trotsai, but the other one. It has a different name in Japan, I know, but whenever they send puzzle games to America, they have to change. Okay, there we go. It is working. Avery Oaks asks, have you ever commercially released a game? Yep, a few. 4, I think. I can show you those in a minute if you want me to. I made a game called Karam, which has Unity ads, but has made me, I want to say, $30 in Unity ads, which isn't enough to withdraw from your Unity ads account. I made a game called Hero of Operations, which over its lifetime has made me about $40. And then I made a Match 3 game called Climate Conquest, which has made me $0. Let's see, that's 3. And then I've made some apps. So this is teeny tiny little puzzle game I made with Game Maker Studio, where you're swapping things around, and apparently I'm not very good at my own game. Battle Network, it's Pokemon Battle Network, that's what it's called. No, it's not Battle Network, it's something Battle. But I don't know, I'm rambling right now, so if you guys want to know anything specific, feel free to say so. I liked this. I never got too far with it. I didn't finish it because, again, I found something else that I was interested in. I don't know. Anyway, there's that. Let's see. Oh, if I bring up Unity, it's going to freak out. I have a few Godot projects I've worked on in the past that are at a workable state. I have a Match 3, a Godot Match 3, obviously, and I have a Godot version of 2048 that I have on my GitHub. Let's see. What even comes up on my Godot when I bring it up? So we got Kitty Quark, which is an idea I still really love and want to put more time into. That's the last video I made for GD Quest. I haven't looked at it in a long time. The YouTube Match 3. And then Jellyfish. Jellyfish is something that my students made. It's their first project. Have a great day, Avery. Let's take a look at Kitty Quark. I haven't looked at this in a long time. Honestly, it's been since like probably June or July that I even had a chance to look at this game. And I was really excited about it too. So what's up with that? But like I said, if anybody has any questions, feel free to ask. Let me actually see if there were any questions asked on the Patreon post. Nope, no questions. That's funny. All right. So, just to show you guys what this was. The idea was that you would have a player here with a life bar and you'd be constantly facing off against an enemy of some kind. It was on Discord and it was on my Twitter. But it wasn't lately. That was like way back in July, I think, that we did the poll. And then this was the last thing I had, was the ability to do that. Anyway, not yet. Every timeline I've ever had I've been bad on. But the version that I have that's almost done isn't on my desktop, it's on my laptop. I have an outline written already for all of the movement, enemy interactions, where like the enemies will chase you, and you can either get an advantage if you hit them first or if they hit you first, or if you hit them where they're not knowing that you're there versus if they hit you. I have the dialogue, not branching, but just regular dialogue ready for it. I have the interactable environment, and I'm just working on the battle system now. So I want to say hopefully I'll start getting it out soon, but once I start getting out, I want it to go much faster than the Godot Match 3 did. So soon-ish is the best I'm going to say for you, Joshua. Sorry. I did a few streams on it too, so if we quit to the project list. This is what I had on the desktop, and this is the version that I was working on stream. When this comes up. But then I've had it on my laptop, and like on my laptop I've been working on a few things. I worked on a little FPS demo for GD Quest, which I need to finish. I need to clean up and then start making videos for that if Nathan signs off on it. And then I've been working on tiny things whenever I get some time, but nothing huge. So oh, nope, just froze. Thanks. Nathan's an amazing guy. I'm really pleased with what he's been making. I don't know, he's great, especially as far as open source stuff goes. Some of the open source stuff he does, he's the only person who's making it, so it's awesome. So I think this is what I made on stream as far as Godot Bound goes. So we got that little sign. So for turn-based RPG jet ski, there's a pretty wide variety to that. Even though it seems like it's a small genre, there's a pretty wide variety. For this, I'm using Earthbound as an example. There's a few things I really like about Earthbound that make it I think, a good game to try to emulate. It has this interesting health odometer that, like, if you get hit, your health starts counting down, but the simplest turn-based RPGs would be Dragon Quest or the NES Final Fantasies, but they get a lot more complex from there. For example, the Final Fantasy series itself changes when you get to Final Fantasy, well, even Final Fantasy 2, because they changed the way the leveling goes in that one. And then in Final Fantasy 3, they add the job system, which changes the leveling again. And then in 4, there's no more job system, and there's no more weird leveling system like in 2, but there is the active time battle system, and your player's class changes throughout the game, and your party members change throughout the game. And then 5 brings back the job system with the active time battle. 6, no job system, active time battle, similar to 4. 7, you've got that weird materia thing. 8, you don't learn spells, you absorb them from enemies. 9 is way more of a classic RPG, but I don't know. Runner Up says, what is the best way to make a nice interactive NPC system? So, what do you mean by interactive NPC system? Do you mean like a branching dialogue, or do you just mean the ability to talk to someone? Because if it's an interactive NPC system, it could be as simple as just like what I've done with the signs in the Zelda-like tutorial series, where when you go up, you can press a button and you get a dialogue window to show up. So that's technically an interactive NPC. But do you mean like a branching dialogue where you can choose a response and then it can branch out from there? Because if it's a branching dialogue system, I have not seen a very good one. There is however, Unity has, as part of their Unity Learn initiative, some sample projects. So, no, not Unity Learn, Unity Learn. Unity Learn. They have some sample projects that they've been putting out that teach you, or that show you what they think is the best way to organize things. And one of those has a branching dialogue system inside of it. This one does. Rose's 2D Adventure, or whatever it's called. Experience Unity Learn. Free courses, projects that you started. So they have these creator kits, and the creator kits have a lot of different things in them. And then they also, in addition to the creator kits, have, where are they? An entire like tutorial series going from start to finish. They're not videos for it. Let's look at projects. It's just not videos, so Runner Up, if you tried to make it with just plain if statements or a state machine, it would be, holy cow, would it be a pain in the butt. It would be better if you had some sort of way, like if you treated each individual piece of dialogue as its own thing, and it had the ability to branch off to other things. So the one that I'm talking about here is the Creator Kit RPG. So the RPG Creator Kit has inside of it a branching dialogue system that you can actually, it goes through how to set it up, but not necessarily how to script it, but you can look at the scripts for it. They also have a quest system. So I think it's under the Populate Your World section where they start showing you the dialogue. This is the best that I've seen. So the creator kits are already built for you, and you're taking them and making your own version of it. So it's less focused on scripting and more learning how Unity works. There's another branch that they have though. So they have the creator kits. Oh, come on now. Let's go back to projects. But they also have, oh, okay, there we go. I was in the right place. They have a creator kit for the FPS, and that looks really cool. They have a beginner scripting one, but then they have the 3D beginner, John Lemon's Haunted Jaunt. This is actually really cool because it goes through all the scripting and how to set it up. The only thing it doesn't cover is the assets. You start with a nicely animated asset and a nicely built house. Michael Benny, hey there, man. Thank you very much. Runner-up says separate scripts for the talking. Not just separate scripts for the talking, but make like each piece its own thing. So like each dialogue option can have dialogue options that it goes to. Ruby's Adventure, that's the one I was thinking of. This one actually goes through all of the scripting, and they tell you about how long they think it'll take. The whole thing together I think is like 15 hours, which sounds like a lot, but it's really not that bad. And it's very nicely documented. And the way that they set up their dialogue system has branching dialogues in it. So that might be more what you're looking for. I haven't seen very many people talk about this Unity Learn initiative, though. It's pretty cool. It's even part of the newest Humble Bundle, too. There's a premium version of it. If you go to Humble Bundle, I think you can get a year for like 15 bucks. That's crazy. Every once in a while, Humble Bundle will put up like a game dev bundle. And here's the Unity one. You get, so $1, even if you only do $1 for Easy Mobile Pro is worth it. That's a great asset. Doozy UI is great. And then Unity Learn Premium. And you also get Playmaker for 15 bucks. That's a good price. I have no idea about this snaps art, because there's like different pieces of snaps art in each of these. I have no idea what that is. But the assets that you do see there are worth it. And this goes to Gameheads. That's the charity. I don't know what Gameheads is. Gameheads is tech training program. Cool. So reaching out to people who probably need more tech education. Anyway, this is up for another 17 days, and I'm sure, is it Games from Scratch who does all those Humble Bundle things? I'm sure he'll talk about it at some point in time. So, yeah. I don't know, I totally lost track of where I was or what I was doing, so. I think the last thing I was doing was looking at the first version of Godot Bound that I made. Oh, I think I even have... Yeah, I do. Forgot I did that. So I started making a player UI in this version. And it's pretty much the same way I made it in general. But none of the buttons work yet in this one. So Earthbound has a unique menu system, and I tried to copy it exactly as much as I could. So. Jet ski, so I'm going to be working on that today. But like I said, I think I might want to re-record the video. So I know I've said this before, but hopefully within the next week I'll get 2 videos out. And I plan on having 4 more big videos, and then any little things that come up I can make like a little Google Doc explaining what to do, because I know that there's a lot of things that are on Anthro's list of stuff to do. So I think I'd like to go over almost everything on Anthro's list, if not everything. So I hope within the next week. I'm going to be working on that later today. But like I said, I just woke up and saw 10K. So I wanted to do a quick little stream. Kind of talk to anybody, answer some questions. Jetski, I love your positive attitude. Thank you so much. Okay, so I guess I'm going to take off now. Like I said, I just wanted to take a minute. If anybody else has any other questions, feel free to ask. I'm going to try to get to as many of the comments that have shown up on my YouTube videos as I possibly can over this weekend. But I have some other things I'm going to be doing, obviously. I have a personal life. So I'll try to... No, I will be working on the Godot videos today, and then I'll also put in some work on the Unity videos as well. And then I'll try to get some stuff out soon. Soon. So I hope everybody's out there is great. Y'all are amazing. 10,000, like I said, is almost the population of the city I grew up in, so that's nuts. And it's still growing, so that's awesome. Thank you very much, everybody. You're all amazing, and I appreciate each and every one of you. So have yourselves a great day, and I guess I will see you soon. So if you have any last minute questions, feel free to put them up, but I'll be stopping the stream here pretty soon. Joshua says thanks. Yeah, thanks, Joshua. Thanks for watching. I think you guys are amazing. You guys are amazing. I'm gonna put up the ending soon banner here. And a little message. Joshua Ennis says thanks. Like I said, runner-up says amazing. I need to design a game for dissertation. So much help I got from you. I'm glad I was able to help. Jetski, enjoy your day too. Runner-up, enjoy your day as well. Little Penguin says have fun. I will. Runner-up says, wait, what? Where are you from in the States? I'm from Montana. I live in a little city in Montana that doesn't even have a stoplight. It's not where I was born. I was born in a what's considered a big city in Montana, but it's not a big city by United States national standards. So. Okay, well, thank you very much, everybody. And yeah, I promise I'll be more in contact now that things have kind of settled down and I'm into a groove at work. So have a great day, and yeah. Thank you very much, runner-up.